Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to pull out the really essential knowledge from complex reports and strategic plans. Today, we're focusing on something absolutely key in primary care, the Local Pharmaceutical Committee, or LPC. Now, if you're working in community pharmacy or maybe in local health commissioning, you'll know these bodies are, well, pretty fundamental. Our mission isn't just to define what an LPC is. We want to get specific, look at the practical, tactical ways they deliver real value, and crucially, how they help integrate pharmacies into the wider NHS. And to do that, we're diving into a specific example. Community Pharmacy Thames Valley, CPTV, they support contractors across Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, and Oxfordshire, and they really seem to set a high standard.
Yeah, and it's important right at the start to be clear about what an LPC actually is. Legally speaking, they're not just, a membership club or trade group. They are a statutory body. NHS England and Community Pharmacy England formally recognize them. They're the official local voice for all community pharmacy contractors in their area.
All of them. Independents and the big chains.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Independents, multiples, the lot. And that statutory status gives them real negotiating clout, but also the responsibility to represent everyone. They're there to support and negotiate for the whole sector locally.
Okay, that statutory piece is key then. So if that's the foundation, what's CPTV's big picture aim? What are they trying to achieve according to the sources?
Their stated mission is pretty clear: to enable every community pharmacy in Thames Valley to thrive as a fully integrated part of the NHS.
Right, thrive and fully integrated. So bridging that gap between, say, national policy and what happens day to day in the pharmacy.
Exactly. It's about connecting the dots, politically and operationally.
Okay, let's unpack this. How does that start? You mentioned representation.
Well, that's the bedrock, isn't it? Representation, advocacy, and influence. You can't really integrate if pharmacy isn't even at the table when decisions are being made.
Makes sense. So where does CBTV make sure pharmacy has that voice?
Primarily within the NHS structure itself. They represent contractors directly with the Integrated Care Boards, or ICBs. Specifically for Thames Valley, that's the Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire, and Berkshire West ICB, the BOB ICB.
Okay, the ICB level is critical for commissioning, but does it stop there?
No. And that's a really important point. Their influence extends beyond just the NHS structures. They engage directly with local councils and with public health teams.
Ah, so that's where things like smoking cessation or weight management services come in?
Precisely. That local authority engagement is vital for securing the commissioning of those public health services that pharmacies are so well placed to deliver. And the evidence shows CPTV isn't just sending emails. They have people actively sitting on local primary care partnership boards, on place-based committees, making sure pharmacy is considered right from the start in plans for urgent care, for prevention strategies, not just as an afterthought.
And we see real examples of that.
Yeah, definitely. Like securing pharmacy involvement in big local initiatives. The Oxfordshire Healthy Heart Project, for instance, that's a concrete win from being in the room.
That makes sense locally, but does this kind of local advocacy, fighting for inclusion in Oxfordshire, actually bubble up? Does it influence things nationally?
Oh, absolutely. It has to. CPTV acts as that crucial feedback loop. Think about the Pharmacy First Service rollout. That was huge, fast-paced.
A bit chaotic.
Yeah, you could say that. There were teething problems everywhere. CPTV actively gathered detailed feedback from their contractors on the front line. Things like, the IT systems not talking to each other properly, the referral pathways being clunky. Real practical pain points.
Okay, so they collected the complaints.
They did more than that. They didn't just report the problems. They collated them, synthesized potential solutions, and fed that structured feedback up the chain to the NHSE regional teams. And that intelligence actually influenced updates to regional guidance. So improvements driven by Thames Valley feedback helped pharmacies way beyond their patch. It's translating that ground-level reality into policy tweaks.
Right, turning local issues into wider improvements. That makes sense. So moving from influencing policy to actually making services work. Let's talk about driving clinical pathways. Pharmacy First seems like the big one here.
It really is the standout case study, yeah. CPTV didn't just wait and see how it went. They were proactive from day one, focused on driving uptake and, importantly, optimizing performance.
Here's where it gets really interesting. How did they do that? Just tell people to do more consultations.
No, not quite. They knew performance needed visibility. So the support mechanisms they put in place were really data-driven. They created these bespoke performance dashboards, pulled data from farm data, from NHS BSA, all collated So each contractor could see exactly how they were doing on Pharmacy First consultations compared to the average across the whole BOBICB area.
Ah, so benchmarking. Instantly see if you're ahead or behind the curve.
Exactly. It flags up who might need help, but also highlights who's really excelling.
Okay, so they had the data. Did they then step in or just show people the numbers?
Oh, they definitely stepped in. It was very much an interventionist approach. They provided targeted support, actual coaching, data insights, specifically for those contractors who were consistently under, say, the 20 or 30 consultation threshold for the service payments.
So identifying and helping the ones struggling most?
Yes, but also tackling the practical hurdles.
Mhm.
They provided dedicated support to get pharmacies properly integrated with the GP referral systems being used locally, things like My Local Surgery or Clinic, smoothing out that technical friction.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of effort, data, coaching, IT support. What was the actual payoff? Did it work?
The numbers really speak for themselves here. By June 2025, the data was showing over 320 Thames Valley pharmacies had delivered more than 20,000 Pharmacy First consultations collectively.
Wow, 20,000.
Yeah, and crucially, a good chunk of their contractors hit that gold tier performance level, meaning they secured the full threshold payments available for the service. That's a real financial uplift, alongside the clinical impact across the region.
That's impressive. And is it just about national services like Pharmacy First, or do they get involved in commissioning local things too?
Oh yeah, definitely local services too. They're actively commissioning locally enhanced services based on what the community needs. Things like needle exchange programs, supervised consumption for substance misuse, and a really good example is the Emergency Hormonal Contraception, the EHC service. In Berkshire West, they work directly with the council there to expand EHC provision into 20 additional pharmacies.
Right, boosting access significantly for that specific service in that area.
It's exactly more convenient for patients, and it takes pressure off other services like GPs or sexual health clinics. It's targeted local commissioning.
Okay, let's pivot slightly. We've talked about influence and clinical services. What about the underlying mechanics? Data, integration, keeping pharmacies financially viable.
Right. Data, integration, and uplift. It's all connected. CPTV provides access to platforms like Farm Data, which isn't just for Pharmacy First. Contractors can track performance across multiple advanced services.
Like which ones?
The blood pressure check service, hypertension case-finding, the new medicine service, or NMS, the contraception service. It gives them a real-time view across the board.
And does having that data actually lead to improvements? Can you give an example?
Yes, definitely. There's a great case study around hypertension. Using this data, CPTV spotted something odd. A group of pharmacies in Oxfordshire had really low numbers for hypertension checks, significantly lower than expected for the population.
So the data flagged a problem. Did they just tell the pharmacies to, try harder?
No, they dug deeper. They realized it probably wasn't about willingness in the pharmacies. The issue seemed to be the referral flow from GPs to the pharmacies for that specific service.
Oh, so a system problem, not a pharmacy problem.
Precisely. So they didn't just point fingers. They worked directly with the BOBICB to actually improve and optimize those specific GP referral pathways for hypertension checks in that area. That's proper system-level intervention.
That's huge. So the LPC isn't just advocating, they're actually getting into the weeds of primary care processes and fixing them. Was that a standard fix or unique?
Well, the fact they identified this specific local bottleneck and designed a targeted fix at the ICB, that was the key.
Right.
And the result?
Go on.
A 45% increase in the uptake of that hypertension service within just 3 months for that specific group of pharmacies.
45%. Wow.
Yeah, huge. And that's not just numbers on a page. That's potentially more people getting high blood pressure identified and managed. It's a direct impact on population health, driven by data and collaboration.
That really highlights the integration piece, which leads nicely into working with primary care networks, PCNs. For anyone listening who isn't familiar, PCNs are groups of local GP practices working together, right?
That's right. And getting pharmacies properly integrated with their local PCN is, well, kind of the holy grail.
So how does CPTV help make that happen practically?
They actively pilot initiatives. The sources mention a Pharmacy plus PCN pilot in Buckinghamshire. This connected 12 specific pharmacies with 3 GP practices in a very intentional way. They use shared IT systems like ACERX and EMIS for direct referrals, trying to cut through the usual admin hurdles.
Okay, but what about the classic problem? GP practice A uses system X, practice B uses system Y, the pharmacy uses system Z. How do they deal with that technical nightmare?
Yeah, that's always the challenge. This is where CPTV support comes in again. They provide training, but also that crucial integration support, acting almost like a technical translator or broker between the systems.
Making sure the tech actually connects.
Exactly. And the pilot showed it works. It led to smoother patient triage. Pharmacists could handle more minor issues directly and critically. It demonstrably reduced the workload for the GPs involved. Less admin, fewer unnecessary appointments.
So a genuine win-win. Reduced GP pressure, better access for patients.
That's the goal, proving that integration delivers real reciprocal benefits.
Okay, one more piece on the financial side. You mentioned Uplift. Do they help pharmacies with things like the Pharmacy Quality Scheme, the PQS? For those who don't know, what is that and why is it tricky?
Right, the PQS. It's basically a big NHS England scheme where pharmacies get funding linked to meeting various quality criteria, clinical activities, safety measures, training, changes every year. It's complex, lots of evidence needed.
Sounds like a headache.
It can be. And if you miss a deadline or can't prove you've met a certain standard, you can literally miss out on thousands of pounds of funding. It's significant money.
So CPTV helps navigate that.
Yes. There's an example of them proactively supporting contractors based in Reading through the whole PQS 2025 claims process, helping them gather the evidence, meet the deadlines, basically making sure they didn't miss out on payments that, for some, could be over £3,000 each.
That's vital financial support, essentially stopping money being left on the table.
It's essential financial triage, yeah.
Right, so none of this works, the clinical services, the integration, the quality schemes, without a skilled, up-to-date workforce. Which brings us to training, and CPTV has launched something called the LPC Academy.
Yeah, this looks like a really significant investment in their contractors' development. The Academy seems designed specifically for busy pharmacy teams who, can't just take a whole day out for a course.
So flexible learning.
Very much so. They've built up a library of over 25 short, bite-sized podcasts. We're talking 10, 15 minutes maybe, on really specific practical topics.
Like what?
Things like the recent NMS service expansion details, how to handle acute sore throat assessments under Pharmacy First, updates on the new patient group directions, PGDs, for emergency contraception. Really targeted stuff you can listen to on your commute.
That convenience is definitely key. Is it all podcasts, or do they do live sessions too?
No, they combine it. They run focused webinars, too, on really timely topics. Recently, they've done sessions on the complexities of the National Pharmacy Contraception Service and drilling down into best practices for hypertension case-finding.
And what's coming up?
Looking ahead towards the end of the year, the plan is for deep dives in November and December, focusing on the NMS, specifically the antidepressant support element, and further training on the contraception and EHC services as they evolve.
Okay, online is great, but some clinical skills need that hands-on element, right?
Yeah.
Especially sensitive areas. Do they do face-to-face training?
They do, and they seem to prioritize areas needing that practical reinforcement. For instance, they held an emergency contraception workshop back on October 9th in Reading. And it wasn't just about the clinical protocols for EHC, it specifically focused on the soft skills too. How to handle sensitive consultations effectively, understanding safeguarding issues. That holistic approach is vital for confidence and patient safety.
That makes sense. And looking ahead, they're doing something on women's health that feels strategically important.
It really does. They're holding their first ever dedicated women's health training event, scheduled for Sunday, November 2nd. This shows they're aligning with major NHS priorities.
What kind of topics will that cover?
They're tackling key areas: HRT and menopause management, UTIs, polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, alongside EHC again. And importantly, they're bringing in external experts, people from the National Migraine Center, from CPPE, to ensure the training is really high quality.
Stepping up the clinical ambition there. Okay, so with all this activity, advocacy, service support, training, how do they keep everyone informed? Communication must be key.
Absolutely. Their communication strategy looks pretty comprehensive. They have regular monthly newsletters, a punchier weekly digest for quick updates.
Standard stuff.
Yes, but they also use instant messaging really effectively. Contractor WhatsApp groups, signal groups. These are apparently invaluable for getting critical information out fast.
Like what kind of information?
Could be urgent updates on drug shortages, quick operational queries, even helping pharmacies source specific medicines from each other locally if there's a supply issue. Very practical, rapid support, and they've even launched a new Facebook page recently just to make sure they're reaching everyone through multiple channels.
It sounds incredibly thorough. From the high-level ICB meetings right down to a WhatsApp message about finding stock.
That's the picture, yes. This sort of holistic approach really seems to define their value.
So if you had to boil it down, what's the CPTV blueprint, according to these sources?
I think it's about having that strong statutory voice at the right tables, combined with really active, data-driven performance management for key services, and underpinning it all with continuous professional development and support.
They're the bridge, essentially.
Yeah, they're the essential engine connecting national policy, local commissioning needs, and the day-to-day reality of running a community pharmacy, ensuring pharmacies are visible, viable, and delivering clinically.
So what does this all mean? It means LPCs, or at least LPCs operating like CPTV, are vital. They're not just talking shops. They're actively shaping services, improving performance, and boosting financial stability for contractors.
And championing excellence, too. The sources mentioned Woodlands Pharmacy and Didcot hitting over 600 pharmacy-first consultations in just one quarter. That doesn't happen by accident. It suggests a supportive environment fostered by the LPC.
Right, setting a high benchmark.
Absolutely. And those measurable results we talked about, the 45% hypertension uptake increase after the referral fix, the smoother patient flow in that Buckinghamshire PCN pilot, they really demonstrate the power of this localized, data-informed, integrated approach it delivers for pharmacies and patients.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, our listener, to mull over. We've seen how crucial this blend of data insight, like identifying that hypertension issue, targeted support, like the PQS help, and localized integration, like that PCN pilot, is for improving things in community pharmacy. So the question is, how could this specific model may be led by a similar statutory body, providing performance data, brokering technical connections, driving integration? How could that be applied to boost efficiency and service delivery in other parts of localized healthcare beyond pharmacy? Could this approach help the whole primary care network operate more effectively? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.